We are back with episode 2 of the Iron Roots podcast. I'm your host, Brooklyn, and my co-host, Gianna. We are super excited for today's podcast because we do have a special guest on with us today. His name is Riley Cote. He is a former NHL player who is now into self-healing, healing traumatic brain injuries, and all kinds of stress on the body through inner breath work, yoga, meditation, cannabis, all of that. So we will let Riley kind of introduce himself, give us a little bit about your background, and we'll get started.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. It's right in my wheelhouse, all this stuff. So I love speaking to it. But just a little bit about myself. I grew up playing hockey in the middle of Canada. Lived out my childhood dream of playing the NHL. A little bit unconventional. I became a hockey fighter, and it, as you can imagine, it took its toll. And just the grind of hockey on its own, and then fighting for a living, just took its physical toll on me, emotional, spiritual. And then I guess it kind of squeezed me out on the other side, and that's how I landed up in this space. It's obviously a process, but I think when I first retired, I had 2 surgeries. I just used cannabis post-surgery, kind of proving to myself that I didn't need the pain pills. I was dealing with some substance abuse stuff at the time too, alcohol and pills and that whole bit, just managing pain in a non-sustainable way. Even though I was using cannabis, I didn't really have that like aha moment yet around like this is it, this is it, and you don't need anything else type of deal.
Right.
So I kind of had that aha moment after I retired when I used cannabis for 2 different surgeries, post-surgery, and I kind of made this, I just kind of come up with this idea that like I didn't need any of the other stuff, the alcohol, the pills, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of learn to lean on my own spine. So using cannabis as a pain management tool, and then eventually I got into yoga to kind of, I guess, like lengthen the spine and, find some like
Relax.
ease, some relaxation in it. Cause I went from, lifting weights, but like not in a very mindful manner. Like, just like hard life, like lifting heavy, fighting all the time, just like living hard. So it was like this, cannabis landed up being like the softer energy that I could like lean into to help me to, again, soften more. Right. It was like, it was kind of this untangling this knot. Really, and I think it's kind of always is because it's
right.
Stress, and it's physical stress, mental stress. Then I was detangling some of my thinking, just like the embodiment of being a fighter and all that stuff. So there's a lot of like letting go. But I think, I guess a little bit long-winded, but I think like the journey itself, the game, the fighting within the game, served its purpose to kind of spit me on the other side into this world of healing and self-improvement, spiritual. Just spiritual growth and personal development, all that stuff. So,
is there anything you would have done differently?
No.
If you could go back? No. I like that.
I mean, like if I was to coach myself, but I wouldn't. I don't have any regrets, because like it's kind of just like sums up like my character, how I am. Like I'm just one of those people that learns the hard way.
Yeah.
It's almost like you could tell me 10 times, I can't or don't or whatever. But I'm like, I was just like, so the path of like becoming a hockey fighter was, I look back and I laugh because it was just like, it was so me just being that hard-headed that I would be willing to do something that was stupid to live out my childhood dream. But it served its purpose, and it has allowed me to really understand the mind a little bit more. I think that was part of it, because when you're playing a role like that, right? You can imagine that you should certainly have to back it up, but like you're in the business of creating confrontation. And I wasn't a confrontational person. I've never really been. I was kind of, I wouldn't say forced to do it, because I chose to do it. But that was part of it. It was like, playing this like bigger than life character, going out and puffing your chest out and acting tough, and then eventually having to back it up, right? But I don't know exactly where I was going with all that, but it's it's all served its purpose. I'm grateful for it all. I wouldn't change it for the world, because it's given me so many life lessons. It's just like if I was to coach someone, to be a little wiser, this idea of like wise effort, because I was like all effort and no ease. There was nothing wise about what I did, but it was enough to kind of get me, where I needed to go to learn the lessons I needed to learn to take that next step and jump into this this type of world of like healing and understanding, what I was doing and why I was doing it, where I was coming from. A lot of fear-based, survival type of thinking, right? And it was literally fighting for my life, fighting for my career, my hockey career. But then I just think on the back end, it was all this, it was really tapping into, I say the feminine energy, really. It's just like softening. It was like, so much hardness, right? It was all masculine. It was just like, again, grinding, lifting, work hard, no days off, like this silly mentality,
like
really. Killing yourself,
killing
right?
your mind.
Yeah. So cannabis has been a huge part of my journey, my transition into, say, the real world and, finding myself, understanding my body more, understanding the mind more, the spirit and the whole thing. So it's been an amazing tool.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, so you work with a lot of athletes who maybe sustain some kind of injury or stress to the body? Do you see that they ever, like, resent the sport? And if so, do you think it's more of an ego thing of trying to get past, maybe, like, you're always puffing your chest out to the next guy? Like, so now you have to shift from having that almost like egotistical to be able to fight on the ice, and now having to drop that ego to try to start to heal. Do you think that's like a big struggle for athletes?
It is certainly something that a lot of guys struggle with, because it's like an identity crisis is what it is. It's when you embody something like that, what the sport itself, like all these guys embody it, they live it, right? They've been living it since they're 4 years old, most of them. And I was one of them. And then I took on another job within the game. I was like embodied this idea of being a fighter. So you have to like become it. You have to own it. And you have to like live that character. You can't just like pretend. You can't just like chirp. Right. And you have to back it up. You actually have to do it.
Especially in Philadelphia, I feel like.
Exactly. Especially in Philly. Yeah, right. So they're the Broad Street bullies and like the nature of the Flyers, right? Mm-hmm. So you own it. It becomes you, right? And you can see why people struggle so much when they transition. You see this a lot in the military. You go overseas and you embody being the soldier and you're fighting for something bigger than yourself, and then it's over and you come back, back to the U.S. with domestic soil, and then you're kind of like, well, who am I? So that's the big question a lot of these guys deal with is like, who am I? Like, what do I do now? And a lot of times that it's the money thing, and they're like start chasing money and chasing jobs that just like feed that part of it. But they never really like rediscover themselves. They don't really dig in and start asking these hard questions and like really doing the work, right? So to answer your question, between cannabis and I would say psilocybin, mushrooms has been the biggest help for shedding the identity, really helping find closure in that part of my life. Just kind of letting the old Riley go, like, yeah, that was something you did, something you loved to do, you embodied it, like peace, like move on. And it was like this like level of acceptance and ownership of the new phase of my life. I wouldn't say like I completely forgotten about being a hockey player, but I've allowed the attachment to that go a long time ago. And that was a huge part of the healing, is because when you identify with something that you're not, it's hard to find yourself and be authentic, right? So what am I going to walk around like I'm some tough guy, a hockey player still? Like, you know what I mean? It's like forgetting that I'm not that, or I was never that. It was a job I did. But like, I think the biggest thing is like rediscovering yourself. You have to find an authentic path forward, and it has to be of service. That's what I've learned. It can't be selfish. What I was doing was essentially selfish. It was like, I was fighting for a team. I get it. I was also in survival mode, fighting for myself too. Like, there's obviously that element. I felt like I look back and I feel like there's a little bit of selfishness in what I did, maybe not, I don't know, but I feel like moving forward I had this this kind of grand aha moment in these journeys in this work, that it's like you have to be paying it forward, and you have to be of service to the world, and whatever that is, what I mean, you have to be doing something for the collective. You can't be just selfishly trying to accumulate money and things, so you could just be like, wealthy, sitting in the corner and not, helping the community and people out, right? So my version of that as the path continues to unfold, I didn't really know exactly what it was. I was, I was always a person that was, show up at the hospital, show up to the hospital visits and all that stuff, like being involved in different charities. But I think it represented something bigger than that even. It was like standing for something much bigger than myself or even humanity. It was like, so I started speaking for the trees. I started speaking for hemp and cannabis when I first retired. all the clothes I wear, well, maybe not today, but the shirt is hemp and supporting cannabis in all its forms. Food, the digestible protein source, the omega-3s in the oil and the hemp seed oil and the whole bit and the fibers and the whole thing. So I was like, okay, well, part of my service is like, well, standing for nature, and supporting things that other people might not understand. And you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like the Lorax, right? It's like, have you ever seen that movie, right? It's like he's speaking for the trees, right? It's like if we start effing with nature too much and start taking away these resources from people, what kind of world we're gonna live in? And you can see what kind of world we're living when you start, stripping resources away from people. Hemp as an industrial resource, cannabis as, or cannabis as, on the medical side as a medicine for people. So I felt like that was like the starting point. That was like, I didn't really know any other way to do it. So at the time I was doing these music festivals in Philly. It was called the Hemp Heals Music Festival. And I was bringing reggae bands, and we were kind of showing the faces of cannabis, the different ways cannabis as a whole, an entirety of a plant could be used. And then, as I started doing that, I did that for 7 years pre-COVID. And then eventually they took down the festival pier and we moved it to Camden. We did it 1 year there, and then COVID hit, and that was the end of that. But like that is my service started by just speaking for the cannabis plant, and then as I was doing that, I started I was practicing yoga, and I didn't really understand yoga at the depths I do now. It was more on the physical level.
It's very hard at
physical,
first.
yeah. Because like you just think it's physical exercise. I was like, okay, I'm stretching, I'm just like loosening up my body, and it is that on a physical level, but it's so much deeper. And as you kind of peel back the onion, and it's like you start softening and lengthening the spine, moving energy, shedding things that no longer serve you, understanding the mind. So then therefore you start priming the body for meditation, so you can actually sit. Because I was my body was so tense and anxious, I guess you could say. Sitting in meditation, I couldn't do.
That's like me. Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah,
so
we have
to
really hard.
So hard.
Yeah,
I cannot do it.
So most people don't know this, but like yoga, the physical practice of yoga is really designed. It's a practice to prime the body to sit. Yoga is about meditation. It's all about the mind.
Yeah, it is.
It always comes back to that, but we can't sit in stillness when the body is riddled with stress and tension, right? So I was like, okay, well, I can't meditate until I am able to deepen this practice enough where I can actually sit. So as I started practicing yoga and then getting into the meditation world and all that, now I started to like realize, okay, well, I can still speak for the trees, but now I got to like speak for like, learning how to lean on your own spine, teaching someone a physical practice or something that they can do on their own, because cannabis is great, but it's not going to do the work for you, right? It's like it can get you out of pain like here and now, but if you're not going to dig a little deeper and like start doing some movement and some work that's gonna
or have the intention behind it,
right?
Or
so then it was like then the whole yoga piece came in, and like then I started teaching yoga and teaching meditation, and then it kind of evolved into sound. It's kind of there's been all these different evolutions because it's all towing the same direction.
It is. I feel like that ties into bodybuilding prep and a reverse too, like all the feelings. I feel like it ties very into it.
Yeah, like the inner work, like the way that we have to reteach ourselves, the discipline,
the ego after.
Yeah, and just trying to find a softer side for yourself too, even when you're shifting from like a prep to
a
reverse diet and all that. But it's pretty funny because yoga, it seems to have come to such a trend to be focused on a workout versus a healing practice.
Totally.
When originally it's supposed to be a healing practice, but I think now the trends and social media and the next hot thing, it's turned into a hot yoga, and how much can you burn and how much can you sweat, where now you're putting the body under stress instead of releasing the stress, and you're actually taking away from what the practice is supposed to be.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and we do a good job in the Western world to bastardize spiritual things.
Yeah.
If you go down the list of like, well, tobacco, right? Tobacco is a sacred plant, believe it or not. I mean, most people don't know that. You go down to South America, they use it in most healing journeys and ceremonies. Super powerful plant, but we've taken something sacred, you mix chemicals in it, you throw a bunch of fiberglass, whatever, make cigarettes, and you get people addicted to it. You've done the same thing. You've essentially done the same thing with cannabis, in my opinion, on some level, where you drove cannabis underground. You drove THC content out. You bred the CBD out. Or THC content up, CBD out. You've imbalanced the plant, and now it's, you know, for a lot of people, it's become just like a drug, right? Imbalanced. It's not originally found in nature quite that way. Yoga, the same thing. You take the essence, the spirit out of it, and you make it just exercise. You know, and you sell Lululemon pants, and you make people look good in them.
Instagram.
Yeah, right. And it's like you're selling something. You're selling
pictures.
something that it's not. Because we live in obviously in a world of consumerism and selling things, but it's so much deeper. And I think once you can understand the depth of it, it's like when everything changes. It's no longer physical exercise. I almost think that like the physical exercise is a byproduct of the rest of it. Like it's almost like the gravy on top, the physical exercise, because it's more of a meditation and a breathing practice for me, and like a clearing of energy. Then like you just have to do it through the body.
That's what I want to try to get into so bad. What would you tell someone like trying to learn how to meditate?
Just keep doing the asana practice, like the physical practice. You have to keep moving the body, understanding energy, and just being present. Because every time you practice, you'll find a newer understanding of the meditative state that we're trying to enter, right? And then breathing, you'll just keep connecting to the breath, and they'll deepen the practice. And eventually, once you start like just loosening up the body and creating more space in it, so you're naturally removing stress and tension, and then you can sit. You'll be able to sit. It's still a process. The mind's still going to wander.
My brain never stops.
It never stops. It's not supposed to.
Okay.
It's not supposed to.
I think that's everyone's biggest struggle.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people think that they're going to cease thinking. It is, and that's not it. It's really like meditation. I think the simplest way to describe it is sitting with yourself and just observing your thoughts without judgment, without attaching to them, and just like being and like and like listening to the universe. Like you're gonna hear sounds. You're not gonna tune out sounds. You're not gonna tune out thoughts. It's just like I think the practice in meditation is if a thought arises, especially one that's like one of those loopers, one that we seem to have a common thought of. We don't just like follow the thought, you know what I mean, and get distracted by it. It's like we observe the thought and we just we let it pass. Yeah. And then we're just sitting. It's just sitting with ourselves. Okay. Because a lot of people think they're trying to do something. We're trying to do something. We're trying to shut something off, and it's like there's no force. In it. They
have all those like guided meditations or whatever. So when my dad first passed away, I would go on to the ones like how to see your loved one or whatever, and I would sit there and I'd be like this. Like my brain isn't stopping. Like it wouldn't work. Yeah. But I think I was trying too hard. Like you said, I was trying to do something that it just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, meditation is not something you can like. You can't force. Just, like, snap it on. It's not like doing either. It's like, it's being. It's just like you're just literally being, and you're observing. You're being an observer.
Like taking that time to like learn your thoughts and understand yourself in what's going through your brain at that kind of point, in that meditation state.
Totally. And early parts, like noticing, observing your body scream like I'm like hurting sitting here. Like that's part of the journey. You have to go through that to get to the next phase, right? I mean, it's like, because that's the awareness practice of like, okay, well then that means we have to do more asana. We have to get the body a little bit more, have the body become a little more spacious so we can sit a little bit longer. And we don't have to sit in like, full lotus. You see, what I mean? You don't have to sit. Like I still can hardly even cross my legs. People sometimes people can't even sit. You have to kneel or sit in a chair. Like, you know what I mean? Like meditation doesn't have to be like this perfect posture type of a thing that we pretend that it has to be. You know what I mean? It's just like literally like I sit in my car and just like close my eyes and just like it's just everything just softens like immediately. Just like stop like the worry and stop the nonsense. It's just like quieting the noise. Yeah, multiple times. You know what I mean? And like it doesn't have to be a full meditation sometimes. Sometimes it's just a pause. You know what I mean? It's like you just be like leaning into gratitude. It's like something feels like, overwhelming and we're feeling a little like anxious and tight. It's just like literally you can just like close your eyes for a second and just reground and self-regulate and just like observe for a second, be grateful, and then it's almost like your energy shifts.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do whenever I'm in like a bad mood. I just close my eyes and think about like practice gratitude.
Yeah, it's powerful.
I actually do that right before I get on stage. When I'm feeling super, super anxious, I'm like, okay, like I can't go out like this. I'm not going to perform well.
You're right.
So I'll close my eyes, 3 deep breaths, open up, ready to go, and
Yeah,
I'm
you
on my
actually
way.
told me to do that. You were like, go take 3 deep breaths. And I did. And then I was like, Dad, get the nerves out. Get it all out. And I was like, and I did it.
Yeah, because her first time she stepped on
Oh my God, I was
stage,
so
she
nervous.
stumbled in
Oh, I
her
bet.
routine,
So
and she was
nervous.
shaky. And I was like, it's fine. Just next, you have another chance to go on. When you go back on, close
It
your
was better.
eyes, 3 deep breaths, then walk out there. And she went out and nailed it after that. Like,
Great.
so it's just slowing down that brain and taking that time to breathe and be like, okay, like, I'm grateful to be wherever I am right here today. And let me just take a second to take it all in, deep breath, and then go out with, like, instead of being like, oh my God, I got to be perfect, I got to do that, like, letting that all run, just breathe.
Yeah.
Appreciate the moment.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, most people aren't appreciating the moment and just
No.
looking forward to the next, which I do that too. So
Yeah.
I can't, I'm being.
We're all guilty. We're all guilty.
Yeah,
of
we're all
it,
guilty.
for
Yeah,
sure.
But
yeah, you know, the
Definitely.
breath is such a powerful tool that's so underutilized that we take for granted. And there's a reason why, like in yoga philosophy, like one of the 8 limbs of yoga is pranayama. It's like it's got its own limb of just breathing exercise, because, you know, try living without it. Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
no,
you're
really.
Like the second
can't.
you're born, you take your first breath, and right before you die, you take your last.
last.
Everything in the middle is life, but we just take for granted, like, since we breathe, you know, unconsciously, that, like, that's it. Like, that's it's just keeping us alive. But once you start, like, understanding, like, through asana practice, like physical practice, you start deepening the breath, and you start realizing that there's a ton of power in it. Like when they say, like, life force energy, like prana. That's why they call pranayama. It's like you're cultivating life force energy, but you're also, you know, regulating the nervous system at the same time. So that's why they always say, like, it's not just like, you know, this granola advice, like, hey, just breathe, you know, when you're, you know, it's like, no, there's actually, you know, ancient science behind it. Like, you know, we breathe, but not just like take a couple deep breaths, like breathe even deeper. You know what I mean? You can, like, self-regulate so quickly if you just, like, really lean into the breath anytime, anywhere, whether it's performance driven or, you know, just something happens and we're, it's always the first advice, whether the people even know what the heck they're even talking about. It's like, just breathe. Just breathe. You know, people are panicking. It's like, breathe. Yeah, because we become shallow breathers, right? It's like you deepen the breath, start breathing in the belly, and then everything just starts, like, relaxing. And then we can just refocus. We can start seeing, you know, our situation a little more clear. But when we're anxious, we're not seeing very clearly. We're seeing through a lens of stress and anxiety. You know what I mean? So it's like always going back to the breath, no matter, anytime we're in trouble, it's like the breath.
The breath. Like, just breathe.
Just
take a
breathe.
deep breath.
Spirit.
So now, how do you tie into cannabis into your yoga, meditation, and breath work? Because I think there's a big, like, stigma around cannabis. It's still pretty new to New Jersey, about 5 years. So I think there's still this stigma where stoners are lazy or stoners kind of never get things done. I think that, like, obviously with anything in excessive use, there's bad and there's downfall. But then there's so much, like how you started talking for the trees and the plants, like, what do you do to, like, destigmatize? Like, cannabis is actually a healing plant, and it's super unique, it's super powerful, and there's so many benefits to it in an appropriate, like, microdose situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's doing the events like we're doing here next week. It's pairing cannabis with movement and meditation and sound, right? It's like it's destigmatizing it, because you're basically doing something the opposite of what most people think, right? It's like you consume cannabis, we're gonna sit on a couch and eat. You know, that's if you allow it to be that, right? I mean, it's like what I've learned with cannabis is it's generally reflective of your natural state already, right? If you're a lazy person and you use cannabis, you're probably not using it intentionally. It's probably gonna make you more lazy.
I mean, I was in high school. I was lazy and all I did was smoke. So I feel like now I'm not lazy and all I do is smoke. So you're 100% right.
Yeah,
with
just
that. I'm not lazy.
It really reflects, like, what your situation is. It's like a mirror, right? So I don't think that's cannabis. Well, it certainly can make you lazy for sure if you overconsume, right? Even for, like, someone that's intentionally using cannabis and very mindful, if they went and consumed a 100 milligram gummy, they would probably be pretty unproductive. They would be just like
100%.
You know,
that's a little different.
That's not microdosing.
But it's not microdosing. No. But that, I guess that. But, like, when you say stoner, most people that are in the category of being a stoner, they're not microdosing and they're not being mindful. They're just getting stoned.
Like
correct.
So there's a big difference between just getting stoned and using cannabis as a drug, all day, being lazy, getting nothing done. And then I know, including yourselves, people that are highly productive. In fact, like they use cannabis in a performance setting, as you guys do. So it's always the intention, right? Food, look at food, right? It could be organic and feeding the physical body and keeping you alive and healthy, or it could be killing you. You know what I mean? It's the same, like it's still food, right? One's junk food and one's health food. One's you're completely ignorant to it and there's no intention. The other one, if you're buying organic food and you understand the whole world, you're doing it intentionally. You don't just accidentally go buy organic food at the grocery store. You know what I mean? So there's like an intention behind it.
Very powerful comparison, actually.
It's the same thing with anything, right? It's like, what are you trying to accomplish with this? And if it's performance and if it's creativity and it's, you know, it's healing, that's what it is. And if you don't know that world, because all you know is getting stoned and sitting on your couch and just wasting your life, well, that's what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, but you're already doing that because there's no awareness.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
There's no care.
There's no care. Yeah. There's no.
I mean, it has so many different, like, I think what people really see is, okay, the THC, the psychoactive plant, but what they don't see is all, like, the medicinal benefits and the non-psychoactive cannabinoids within the plant that help with certain healing. And there's so many different ways where even us for bodybuilders can benefit, where we're smoking before the gym because we're getting that better mind and muscle connection. We're better with that focus, that creativity, that slight uplifting in a natural way. I don't take any pre-workout, any stimulants like that. Everything I do is through cannabis. They say you only need like 2.5 to 5 milligrams of cannabis in order to like enhance any of those effects that you're looking to achieve. Once you start to get higher, like in those percentages and stuff like that, now you're starting to push that threshold of now you're just too high.
It's
you're
too
defeating
inward.
the purpose of it.
Exactly, cross the threshold.
Everything you do in life is all about the intention and the way you want to live. So it's really just about how you use it and doing your research and being mindful and being able to be like, okay, well, I can shift the way I smoke. Because I used to just be a stoner smoker too, until I started to see the benefits of it, where it was healing me in a different way, whether it was helping me with anxiety or depression or just performance and recovery even, because there's so many anti-inflammatory properties in there. So it's definitely been a great use for us and people that we know in the industry. I think it's all just about learning and research.
It really is.
A lot of people don't know that all the properties and the cannabinoids and all that.
Yeah, no, they have no clue.
Just started learning about that.
Yeah, most people have no clue. They just like think of cannabis and they don't even know what THC is, but they just think cannabis gets you high, makes you stoned, and you get nothing done. Like that is really like the mindset most people have still.
Yeah.
Still, like it's pretty wild. But growing up, I used to use cannabis pre-workout too. Like I was like big into lifting too. 16 to, well, pretty much 28 because that's when I retired. But lifting, and I would always use cannabis before. But I was also using some other pre-workout, like a lot of caffeine and like the Rip Fuel stuff back in the day, and the Xenadrin and all this other stuff, right? So it was like counterintuitive. So one is like calming agent. It's like a little bit inwards, and then it's
So
like all these other things. My heart is, I'm like sitting there. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Like, Brooke, I'm having heart palpitations. She's like, I wonder why.
Yeah, too much caffeine. So I was certainly guilty for that. But like kind of what you're saying, like it's all you use. Like that's all I would use now. Like when you call it like pre-workout, it's like focus. It's like just like it's like I'm using it as like a meditation because you really do dial it in. You really do feel into the body, right? You're really super precise with like your movements. Like it's like everything almost slows down.
It's a completely different workout.
There's no rush. There's no rushing through it. It's like at least if I speak for myself, like there's no rushing through it. It was just like I'm almost feeling like every fiber,
every muscle fiber, every connection. I'm like tunnel visioned in.
Yeah, totally. And then the same now with like yoga is mainly what I practice. I do some pull-ups and like the prison workout type stuff now, but like it's the same thing. Like you're just so in tune with like even push-ups. Like just I'm so in tune with the push-up, you know what I mean? Because I'm just like breathing with it and like grounding with it. It's so different than the way I used to do them. Just like bang, let's try to do as many as we can. They go crazy, and you know what I mean? It's like
like crazy.
Like what are we doing here? It's like
being
so
the
now
hardest
it's
guy
like
in the gym.
so now it's just more just like you're just breathing with it, slow, and it doesn't have to be the perfect push-up. You can even like, you know what I mean? Like you can just like play with it. It just becomes more of like a creative process, you know, for just tapping in your body's different ways. Like, what does this feel like? How does this making, you know, the spine feel, the way we're standing, you know, just stuff like just awareness, right? Is awareness the way you're standing, the way you're, again, like, you know, the weightlifting space, there's a lot of meat, right? A lot of meat thinkers. Yeah. And they're not really overly concerned with like intention and form. Oh, no, they're just like all just ego lifting and just it's mass and it's reps. Is, you know, so like it's just like you know, so you could be you know, in the same gym with these people and you're just totally in a different dimension,
way more
and just totally in it,
just a different zone. But wrapping that back around, because you had mentioned the event that you're going to be doing here, for anyone that doesn't know, we're recording at the Frosted Nug in Carney's Point, and Riley is doing an event here, a cannabis infused yoga event about meditation, if you want to get a little bit into that, because that is going to be a very cool experience. Yeah,
so it's next Saturday, 10 to 12, and it's cannabis infused, cannabis assisted yoga, meditation, drum journey, and gong bath. So it's 2 hours, calling it rhythmic recharge. It's just like tying in the rhythm piece, because I like to teach it through rhythm, like just the idea of rhythm, like the rhythms in the body, rhythms of nature, obviously rhythms of sound, but it's really, we're just living in this basically an environment of rhythms everywhere. But just tying back to cannabis with the intention, you know, it's kind of setting the space, creating the safe space, and just moving a little bit. I really strongly believe, again, obviously we got to move. Like the only way out is through. Got to move the body so we can soften a little bit. So then therefore the meditation practice, it's like 10, 15 minutes after sitting meditation, so much, I don't want to say easier, but it is so much easier when you've just moved physically in the yoga. And then after that, it's just like, really after that, it's just like listening. It's just like, you know, the sound bath, like the drum journey really is another form of just like listening. Just listening, you know, just being. Nothing to do, you know, just let the sound, the vibrations do their things. And enjoy it, right? But I think like that's like the cookie after the, you know, you got to work. You can't just like, you know, it's like I would never ever even think about doing an event where it's just like use cannabis and just like sit around. And you know what I mean? It's like no, we can do that. People figure out how to do that on their own. You know what I mean? It's
people
like,
hang out and just do that and watch football. That's not the point.
We're gonna move a little bit. At least you've earned, you know, the rest. You know, it's like I said, you know, but even the rest is super powerful, right? I mean, sitting in meditation. The drum journey itself is like, it's an altered state of consciousness. If you've ever like looked into, read about, or experienced shamanic drumming, but it's like 4 or 5 beats per second. And just that on its own can get you an altered state of consciousness, because you're following this beat, this repetitive beat that eventually, as the time passes, like the mind almost starts transcending the vibrations, and you kind of go down these like little different, I don't know, rabbit holes, if you will, you know what I mean? It's like it becomes a journey in itself. So you know, that's an experience. And then the gong bath is just like, you know, if you ever experienced a gong, it's primordial. It covers like all sound and frequency within the same instrument, but it just has a way to help people get out of the thinking mind. It's like, you know, because we're always thinking, overthinking. So the practice itself, and you know, the gong and the drum, it just helps the mind separate from that overthinking. It focuses on the sound, so that you're present. You know, you're not just like, you know, thinking about this, thinking about that, worrying, all this stuff, because it severs that I guess that distracted mind. So it's pretty interesting, because this is all really, yes, it's about the physical body, yes, it's about, you know, feeling better, but it's really, at the end of the day, it's about getting our bodies and everything squared away where we can think better. We could be more clear with our thoughts. We could be more positive. You know, we have the ability to control and self-regulate quicker. Because, you know, most of the people I work with, you know, as clients with cannabis or psilocybin and stuff like that, they they're overthinkers. You know what I mean? They're their own. We're all guilty of it.
Yeah,
We're
I mean, I
worst
feel like
enemies.
every day my brain is like,
It's like heaven one second,
everything.
hell another. You know what I mean? It's like the mind fluctuates. You know, saying like the second Yoga Sutra, it talks about like the fluctuations of the mind, and it's like that's like the nature of the mind. It's just it's always like trying to find something. So that's why it's so important that we master the mind. Like we control our own mind. Otherwise, something or someone will control it. You know, whether it's the news or a program or the government or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like eventually it will. So you get a hold of it and all these things. And cannabis is, to me, is one of the best master teachers out there. It's just if we like looked at it like that and understood it more. But, you know, like I don't see our government coming out with this education anytime soon. Yeah, they might talk about like the importance of, you know, anti-inflammatory compounds with CBD, like, you know, probably pushing a pharma model or something like that. But they're not going to get to the spiritual nature of cannabis. To me, that's like it'll never be talked about. You know, so it has to be us or, you know, that has to bring this up.
We have to be the people that, you know, create that space for people to learn more about like the healing properties of cannabis and even like the mushrooms. Like can you actually get more into that?
Yeah, I did want to hear about that.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of work down in Jamaica the last 5 years.
That's awesome.
Because it's legal and unregulated.
Wow.
Okay.
And we get into a couple different other countries. Yeah, I know, right? Well, so funny enough, we were actually supposed to do one in a Rastafarian village in first week of January, and then they got, I don't know if you guys heard, they got half of the west part of Jamaica got wiped out
by oh my God, it's so sad.
hurricane. So they're rebuilding that village, and I don't want to get ahead of myself because I think what I'm going to try and do here is do something with Frosted Nug to raise some money to send it down there, and
that would be amazing.
And once they're built back up, do a retreat down there, and just, you know, the cannabis people that maybe listening to these podcasts and stuff like that can, you know, maybe get an opportunity to go down and understand cannabis on a completely different level.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll
if you start
be
sitting with the
there for
Rastafarians,
sure.
man, you understand like the herb is like it's always been sacred. They just present it so much differently than the Western world does. You know what I mean? They have a respect for the land. They have a respect for life.
Holistic properties, healing, holistic healing. Like they don't respect that here.
No. There's no respect for life here.
No.
Not zero respect. I mean, it's all like a death cult. You know, the way I see it. It's like it's like we can kill like microorganisms all the way to macroorganisms, right? It's like
our food is poison. Everything.
Even like you want to kill the bacteria on your hands. It's like, oh, you touched the table. It's like you take some Purell. Wait, you know. It's like we'll kill all the bacteria. And we'll kill all the bacteria in your gut.
Yeah.
And then we'll kill everything around you. We'll spray your grass and the weeds. We'll kill all that. And we'll kill all the bugs. And then we'll kill you along with it because you're inhaling that, and so are your animals.
Dude,
and your
I used
kids.
to have like weekly breakdowns because of this, and I'm just at the point where I don't care. I'm like, everything's poison. At this point, it's everything.
It is.
I just can't.
It is. You just like you. Well, I think you can. Like, there's some poison you just can't avoid, right? I mean, it's like, let's be serious. Like, you just walk outside. Like, if they're dropping a chemtrail, like, what are you gonna do? Hide underneath something? Like, it is what it is. But I think we still can choose. You know, like, look at the water supply, right? We could choose drinking fluoride out of the tap, which is, you know, a heavy metal that calcifies the pineal gland. They'd be used, you know, for years to dumb down people. Or you could choose clean water. You know, it's like you could choose the glyphosate infested, you know, GMO corn crops, soy crops, alfalfa crops, or you could, you know, buy an organic potato or or broccoli. You know what I mean? So like we can, like, even though the world is infested. Crazy. What's that?
People say I'm crazy.
No.
I go to the produce and I go to my local butcher. But I see a difference from what I get out the shelves at like ShopRite or anything. Like
compared
see
to
that
the butcher,
difference.
it's like completely different.
The quality of meat, the quality of produce. Like, I'm going to ShopRite and like the blueberries are moldy. None of the bananas look good. And
I
then,
opened every single thing of blueberries at ShopRite and every single one was moldy. Every single one. Not even kidding.
Saying,
it was like 13.
I'm spending $20 on a full box of sweet potatoes and veggies and fruits, and that would have costed like $86 at the grocery store. And it's so much more fresh, and it's also supporting your local produce right in your town where their family was raised and lived and they grow up. So I'm all
Yeah,
for
I'm all
that,
for
and
that.
Totally.
it's really not more expensive. I mean, my butcher $4.99 a pound for my ground beef.
Yeah.
ShopRite it's like $6.99.
Yeah, for the organic, the grass finish too, because you have to make sure it's grass finished, not grass fed,
Yeah.
because it's like a whole different thing, like, which I just found that out too. I had no idea.
Yeah, it is a real thing. But yeah, I mean, knowing where you're getting, where the produce is coming,
Yeah.
where it's coming from is important. But that takes mindfulness.
It
It takes a level of
Yeah.
awareness, right? So most people
Don't care. Yeah.
and it's just like they're rate shoppers. So it's just like the cheapest possible food they'll buy, and this is why like the whole calorie thing is totally skewed. Like you look at like our food supply here, we subsidize farmers to grow corn, soy, alfalfa, cottonseed, and there's probably one other one I'm missing. But anyways, like what that creates is cheap calories. So look at any processed food, like you look at the ingredient list. There's corn in there, there's soy in there. So you subsidize the shit, you subsidize the poison, and then it's cheap food, right? That's why people buy cheap food.
Yeah.
But then like they've made Whole Foods more expensive.
Oh yeah.
You go to Scandinavian countries, they tax sugar, they tax the shit so high that it's a luxury to eat the shit, and they subsidize Whole Foods. So inadvertently, healthcare fixes itself.
Yeah.
So you're not feeding shitty
Yes.
food to poor people.
No.
You're
Right.
feeding healthy food, so like it actually takes care of the healthcare itself. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
here we're just like cheap calories, cheap subsidized crops, poison, it's all GMO, funneling into the garbage food system, and that's what
healthy
people eat.
food
So
is
there's
a luxury.
exactly. So there's no nutrition in it. It's a high calorie, low nutrition, but also comes with a lot of poison, all cancer generating
Yeah.
products.
All different kinds of chemicals and.
So it's like the old saying goes, is like pay the farmer now or the doctor later. Like you better take care of it now, otherwise your medical bills is going to be through the roof. You can buy your $1 bag of Doritos now. You're going to get a $500,000 bill in the mail for your cancer.
Later
Down the
on.
road, you know what I mean? If you keep eating this shit. So it's just it's skewed way of thinking. But most people, again, ignorance saying it in a respectful way. They just don't know. Most people just don't know. They have no clue.
Yeah.
Do you
No clue
go
about any of
back
this
to
stuff.
Canada a lot?
Not a lot, once a year or
Okay.
so.
So do you like feel a difference when you eat the food there compared to here?
Yeah. What's it like?
Canadian food is like it's very similar.
Same.
I mean,
Oh, okay.
we have the same issues as we
Yeah.
do.
Really? I've
It's-
seen people like import cereals from Canada and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there might be like a thing or two that might be better that
Okay.
but like you go to the supermarket there, it's the same shit.
thing,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
it's all run by the major corporations, and you'll find a health food store just like you will here. You'll find a group of people up there that support that, and you have most of them that just support the garbage,
Yeah.
keeping the system afloat. It's the same thing. I mean, I think this is becoming a global problem now. It was just a
It's
Western problem,
very
but
bad.
Yeah.
I think the poison is just spreading fast across
It's
the planet.
just cheaper for them, and they're getting more money because we're sick.
Yeah,
and
that's
healthcare.
That's
Yeah.
the that's the
That's
game.
the
And that's
point,
the
right?
game.
Yep, it's so sad.
That's how Big
That's the
Pharma
game.
makes money, right?
Of course.
I wanted to be
And
a nurse,
holistic
and
is
then
healing.
COVID came, and I was like,
Oh, good. Yeah.
I'm not going to nursing
Good.
school.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't
Stay
want to
far
do
away
this
from-
anymore.
I shouldn't say it like that, but it's like
Yeah,
it's
but
a it's
no.
a, it's a
I was like, I don't want to
know.
be brainwashed by that, because I was gonna go to be a holistic nurse, but you actually have to become an RN to even
First, right.
become a holistic nurse, and I was like, I
like a
fear
nurse
I'd
practitioner. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
was
you
like,
have to
I
go
want to
through
be
the-
like full holistic.
Yeah.
You have to be.
You have to go through all
Yeah. And I was
the
like, I don't even want to give
indoctrination
them
of that stuff.
a chance to brainwash me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
doing it. Nope.
Yeah, no, it's wicked how they can convince people to comply with some of that stuff, and shame on the people that do and know better, because there's definitely some people that stick around in it knowing that it's wrong,
Oh yeah.
knowing that it's wrong,
And then
still collect a paycheck. And I get it because you got
Yeah.
a family to feed and all this other stuff, but it's like at some point it's going to have a heaviness on the heart and on the soul, you know what I mean, if you know, because there's a lot of people that know at this point, you know what I mean? The
Yeah, a
system
lot
is
more,
you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like, are we part of the solution, or are we part of the problem?
Yeah.
Is this really supporting human health, or is this not?
Or we
Or are we actually doing the opposite of what we're saying we're doing? You know what I mean? It's like some point we got to be
Yeah.
honest with, like, well, people that work in that. It's tough. But there was a lot of people that stepped away from that. You know what I mean? There was like the stories of
For
the
sure.
healthcare workers and the people that were forced to comply one way or another. They took the hard
Doctors
road.
that
They
didn't
took
wanna
the hard
comply,
road.
yeah.
It's like we're in a spiritual war. You know what I mean? This universe has a way of squeezing us or not, depending on
Right.
how we roll with it. But it's like we either going to be part of the part of the problem or part of the solution. I think this is where it's where we're at. What side are we on here?
A lot of our goal is, food is medicine, food is healing, plants are healing. I mean, it's all like exercise, sunlight, everything, like all that matters a lot more than those prescriptions. And I think that we can move away from, I know so many people who have moved away from prescriptions and have replaced them with cannabis, whether it was for anxiety issues, pain issues, depression issues, like any kind, trauma, all of that. And they found so much more healing through cannabis versus their prescriptions.
Totally. Yeah. I always say, like, even if you don't have to be like an expert on cannabis to know that it's a harm reduction model of some sort, right? It's like if you get someone off an opioid with cannabis, even if you don't understand any of the stuff we're talking about, it's clearly a harm reduction model. You're not going to die from a cannabis overdose. Even if you misuse cannabis, even if you're consuming 200 milligrams at once, you'll be belly up, but you'll wake up tomorrow. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so it's still a harm reduction model. And then the idea would be to like teach them how to use that a little more responsibly. And, you don't need 200, so, but like it is a step in the right direction, even if these people don't understand it. Drug diversion, it's just getting people, how many people are getting off alcohol? Stop drinking. Like the younger generation seems to be.
Yeah, I'm a bartender. The bars are dead. I was like, is it my bar? We were literally just talking about this before you came in.
No, it's
been
because
so slow.
People, the younger generation, aren't drinking as much.
I haven't drank since February.
Really?
I literally don't drink.
I haven't drank 5 years. Yeah,
good.
But it's just like but I also grew up in an era where it was still heavy booze. Like in a culture like hockey, it was like a lot of drinking.
Oh yeah.
But even like the younger guys now coming up, it's way less drinking, so much more mindfulness, cannabis for recovery. Like I would say like 80-90% of these guys are using some sort of cannabis.
Does the NHL care about that?
They still test for it, but they don't enforce it. If that makes any sense. They're doing it because I think it's a little bit political because you got Canada full legalization, you got US still Schedule 1 drug. Yeah. So I think there's liability involved. You got Toronto Maple Leafs guys who are like hopping on the plane and flying with their cannabis into the US, and that ain't happening. The NHL one's nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So do your thing in your state, in your country. We're gonna test for it. No one's going through the substance abuse program for cannabis.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because they know. They know.
I was say, is it like that for like other sports?
Well, other sports like NFL no longer test for cannabis. But that was the NFL was the worst for like penalizing guys for using cannabis.
Yeah.
They would like ruin their whole career and ruin their whole season. And again, what's the alternative? An opioid. These guys are like bashing their bodies up, like they're torn ACLs and that. Like
brain injury.
Totally, yeah, exactly. So like they're taking away a sustainable healing resource, and they're pushing synthetic heroin down these guys' throats. So that's resolved itself. They don't no longer test. MLB no longer tests. I don't think NBA. I think hockey might be the only one. And I think there's just some like politics involved.
Yeah, it's always politics.
It always is. But at least they're not enforcing it. No one's like ruining their careers over it. So
that's good.
But that will probably change pretty soon. I think they're kind of like, I think they see what's going on, especially if like the federal government actually reschedules, like that will go away pretty quickly, I would think. But,
I mean, so it's so interesting to me. So like from hockey to you're so what was that change like? How was your day-to-day life change from when you were a hockey player to now that you're more of like a holistic healing like
do you miss it some days? Do you miss hockey?
Well, I think I miss because I grew up playing hockey. It's a sport. It's a game, right? It's a thing you did your whole life. I still love playing hockey. I'm leaving here. I'm gonna go play hockey tonight, like in Hollydale. I love playing hockey. Being on a team and just playing a sport you love. I think what I eventually stopped liking was just like having to. I signed up for the fight. I signed up to fight for a living. If I was like an elite player and I didn't have to fight, it would have been a completely different story. Mm-hmm. But it was just like my stubbornness, and my my resilience, like to be able to like prove to whoever myself that I could do it. It was a lot of ego-ness in it, right? It was like, I gotta prove the world I'm tough. Yeah, that was all that bullshit. but like the way I was living was clearly unsustainable. Like as hard as I was going on the ice, I was going off the ice. You know, it was like as soon as the game was over, I couldn't wait to go drink. You know what I mean? Because it was like the preparation for the fight was like last night, thinking about who I'm fighting tomorrow, like knowing they have 3 guys in their team and fought probably 2 or 3 of them before. Knowing, you know what I mean? It's like
you guys would like plan it out.
Well, it just
Okay.
You just know. You just know. You just
Sometimes
know.
they would just drop it.
Well, that's. I mean,
Like
but you know
straight on
who you're going against, because if you're the heavyweight,
Yeah.
you know who the other heavyweight is, right? So it's
Yeah.
not like I call them up the night before and say, hey, we're fighting, but I could almost assume.
Third period, 3:27
Yeah.
left on the clock.
Site when I see you.
But I could almost assume who the top 3 guys, like who the 1 or 2, 3 guys would be.
Yeah.
So then you talk about like anxiety in the mind, right? So like you're in this chronic state of anxiety. You know you're gonna fight, but it's not it's not there yet. So it's like you're in fight or flight, but you're right in the middle, because it's like I can't like retract, or I can't like pull out and say I'm not playing, and it's not here yet. So I'm constantly in this state, even like leading up to the game. It's like the afternoon, I have my pregame meal, pregame nap, and I go to the rink early, and all I'm thinking about the whole time is fighting. I mean, in the NHL, playing hockey, but all I'm thinking about is fighting. It's like, you know, it just overwhelms the body and the system. So it's worry. It's just thinking. And then like the easiest part about it was when like the fight actually happened. That was like the best part, because now I'm just like in it. It's happening. There's nothing to worry about now. Like you can punch me, I'm not going to feel it. Punch. I can get knocked
Was it a
out.
great feeling after?
Oh yeah, I mean it's a crazy adrenaline rush fighting in front of 25,000 people.
Oh my god, that's probably amazing.
But it's not like, again, it's like the juice worth the squeeze always. You know what I mean? It's like that feeling is like, it's almost like a drug, right? It's like that feeling is like short lived.
Yeah.
It's big. It's a grand feeling, but then the game's over and the lights go out.
Yeah.
And then you go to the bar and you just do, you know, you're burying yourself, and you wake up in the morning and it's just like, that feeling's gone. I gotta go do it again. You know what I mean? So it's like this cycle continues. The cycle continues. So to answer your question, it's like you go from this like extreme state of right in the middle of fight or flight, you know, and this anxious mode all the time, worrying, survival, fear, fight, this and that, to like, you know, I almost feel like I didn't even do that in this lifetime. That's how different I live now. You know, it's like,
I get that.
It's like, it's the complete opposite. Everything I did in that world, I'm doing the opposite, basically.
So would you say that was you had a spiritual awakening for sure, right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, for sure. I mean, because I understood, you know, the destruction I was causing myself. I wasn't like living. I was like surviving. You know, I wasn't being of service to the world. I was just like taking care of myself and barely getting by, you know what I mean? And yeah, it just taught me so much. Like I look back, I'm still learning lessons. I look back, I could reflect on maybe where some of the stuff was coming from, like fear. I always talk about fear, and you know, like it takes something a little bit dark to like to do that, right? It's the fighting is not for everybody. Clearly, like, you know, who the hell wants to do that?
I'd be scared.
I mean, I certainly, I think I would say I was definitely probably scared deep down. It was all an act, you know, on some level. But it's like, you know, looking back, I'd be like, where was that coming from? And I can identify it now. It's like it's clearly a major fear of like letting my parents down, right? Like they spend so much money and time like carting me around to live out my dream. You know, letting you know, my friends and just family members down, letting myself down. You know, it's like this whole thing. So I'm like doing whatever I can, and that's like literally like fighting for validation or something, right?
Yeah.
But it was fear. It was a fear-based you know, emotion that was driving it. Because had I been like in this state, I certainly wouldn't have chose to do that. I would have like been I would have been mindful enough to be like, I'm gonna step away from this, and do something different. It's gonna like actually like soothe and inspire my soul a little bit. That's why when I was 28 years old when I retired, I had another year of my contract with the Flyers, and I was like, I'm done. I tap out.
Really?
At 28, and I left, you know, $600,000 on the table.
Damn. Wow.
Well, I shouldn't say like that. I landed up getting to coaching, and they took that money and they spread it over 4 years, but like, I gave up my dream like almost like in a second, like because I was just like, I'm done with this.
And you have no regret. That's
no
good.
regret. I mean, in the moment that I made the decision to retire, the general manager called me up and we talked it out. he knew where my heart was at, because I didn't play much that last year, and I was just emotionally and spiritually bankrupt.
That was probably during your awakening.
Yeah, and that was
100%.
yeah. So that was this is it, right? It's like the universe squeezes
starting.
You either stay in it and suffer, or you do something about it. And now this opportunity presented itself. It was when I made the decision and told him I'm retiring and I'm moving on from this. It was almost immediately that energy that I talked about, like that middle of the fight and flight, that chronic state of anxiety, disappeared
Really?
almost immediately.
Like a fresher breath.
I was gonna ask that too.
Immediately,
Yeah.
because I was no longer doing that, so I no longer had to mentally think like that. But then it was like, you talk about like trauma on some level, like when you're in that state for so long, you know what I mean? Like 8 months of the year, you're in that state, like it leaves a residue. You know what I mean? Like,
so
of like how you manage stress and how you manage that. So that's how like this whole thing, and we're going kind of full circle here. How we started was like now it was like, okay, well, you've been using cannabis, but very
Not mindfully.
Yeah, in a not mindful manner. But I understood it enough, and it was kind of like all these things where now I was like forced to deal with like all that hardness and all that, like basically like the shape that I'm in, like at that time when I retired, like that was all an accumulation of how I was living, clearly, that I needed to like repair that. I needed to like, so I made a pact with myself. I'm like, we're fixing this. Like, we're digging ourselves out of this hole. Because if I kept living that way, I certainly wouldn't be here today.
Right.
Yeah.
That's honestly very huge that you said that, because I think a lot of people stay stuck in that way because they have no idea how to get out of it. I mean, I know like my twin brother was a phenomenal hockey player. He played at Gloucester Catholic. He was supposed to play at UNC, and then he ended up with a traumatic brain injury from too many concussions. So like I think a lot of like, at least from what like I've like seen within my own experience as a loved one of someone who has experienced like something of that sort, I feel like it's hard for somebody to find their next step, and they maybe don't know how to get out of it, especially as a male and as an athlete, and still trying to be manly and still try to be who you are. But I guess like you're not that person anymore. So how do you know how to transition, or where do you even begin, especially with so much trauma in the brain?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think deep down in your soul, I think you always know whether you're in alignment or not, right? I think like, I think most people just ignore it and they fight it, right? So, and I had been doing that for a while. Like I knew that I wasn't in alignment for some time, but I was like, what else am I gonna do? Like this is my livelihood. This is what I signed up for, and this is like all I got, right? So I think to answer your question, well, it's not an easy thing to do, because unless you have like, not that we need to have a plan B, but it's like there's a level of courage that's associated with this. Because I think what I've learned is that most people stay in the familiar known, right? Mm-hmm. It's like even if it's suffering, it's like it's familiar, so we'll stay in it because I know it. I know what to expect. It's familiar.
They stay where they're comfortable.
Stay where they're comfortable. Even if it's pain and suffering, in that comfort. Most people fear the unknown, so it's like this idea of like stepping out of our safe space, even though it's probably not safe for most people or comfortable, but like not knowing what the next step the universe has for us, because everyone wants to like intellectualize and know how it's going to play out. Yeah. But the universe doesn't necessarily work like that at all. Actually, it's just like when you follow your heart, it's like following finding that alignment. If you're stepping closer to finding your alignment, the universe is always supporting you. And it certainly gives some nice reminders through patterns and symbols if you're on the right path. And it does a nice job when you're not, right? I mean, the universe has a way of shaking you up, and things start happening. You start wondering, what the hell? Like, why is this happening? Why are these weird people coming? You know what I mean? It's like, it's because we're not in alignment, So all of a sudden, the right people are start coming in your life. Is probably, the right things are starting to happen.
And the wrong ones go out.
Right, and that exactly. So it's not an easy thing to do. Be like, wake up one day, be like, you know what? I'm starting a whole new life, like this direction. It takes time to build up. Like in your mind, you have to kind of like trust the process enough to know that like it's going to be a challenge, right? I mean, it's going to be challenging, but not more challenging than what you're already in. It's just going to be a different type of challenge because now you're entering something you don't know. the challenge you're in, you're just familiar with it, and it's like you're just dealing with your daily depression, your daily struggles, and you're just stewing in them, and you're okay with that. But all of a sudden now we're gonna do something new. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be challenging. It's just the unknown. But that step is hard. From what I've learned from working with people and observing people, is like that step is so hard to take.
I think
we talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are like, well, when I'm ready. And it's like, what you don't realize is you're never going to have that moment of, oh, I'm ready right now, so I'm going to start right now.
Yeah.
Like, the only time you'll be ready is just doing it.
You have to.
You just have to just go and just try. And I think we're so afraid of change and the unknown of change that it's like almost just so much easier to stay in suffering because I'm just going to sit here and wallow.
Yeah.
Whereas you can sit here and wallow and absorb like all the energies that you're feeding off of right now, or you can sit in them while trying to heal them, and then they start to get a little bit lighter, and just having that patience of consistently working through it no matter how difficult it gets, and just finding the right guidance and trusting that, you know, the universe is by your side or God is by your side, and like you're on the right path, and eventually it's going to feel way better than where you were at square one. I mean, that's how it was for me. Like, I struggled a lot with alcohol and doing a lot of cocaine and partying and all of that, and when I shifted my lifestyle completely to just, you know, self-medicating with cannabis and movements and working out and bodybuilding and finding a different purpose, like so many times in that path, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know that this is leading me anywhere. Like, it was very, very scary, but nothing was scarier than what I saw when I looked in the mirror when I was suffering from alcohol and cocaine and partying. Yeah. So it's like, I may not be where I want to be today, but I am where I never imagined I would be 5 years ago. So it's like, I can only imagine how much further I can go, because I feel like even though I still struggle with different kinds of emotions or anxieties, like I now know how to talk to myself and navigate through emotions versus covering up the emotions with a bottle of tequila or bumps of cocaine.
Sure.
Like, now I know how to listen to my thoughts and be like, okay, well, where is this stemming from? And how can we navigate it so that we don't end up in a crash out?
Totally, yeah.
So it's really just, I mean, that change was so scary, and every part is going to be scary, but nothing will ever be scarier than being in that super dark place. And that, you know, will I ever get out of this? No, you won't, because no one's coming to save you but yourself.
That's exactly it. That's so right. And it really, it's a long path, right? It's this idea that people like look on Instagram, they see people like, you know, they've made it, and then right away they think that I haven't made it yet, or whatever that is, right? It's like we put like timelines on success.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like all this like weirdness and like where we think we should be, and like how, you know, it's like we tell ourselves all these crazy stories around like what success is and all this stuff. And what you're saying is 100% true, is because is like when you start managing your life and your shit, I say more authentically, you own it instead of burying it, because I was guilty for all that stuff, right? I mean, and you know, without even knowing that you're actually doing that, it's just like, oh, it's just partying, we're just partying.
I never held myself accountable for anything.
Yeah,
now I'll own up, like I'll hold my accountabilities. Like now, like I can see, like okay, I made a mistake here. Like, let's fix this. Let's move on. Instead of like just being like, nah, I didn't do that, or you did that, or you know. Yeah,
but I think like all this stuff like requires a level of faith, and like believing in something greater than yourself. For sure, we're supported by an energy and an intelligence much greater than you know what most of us could even fathom. But it's like you have to believe in yourself too. Like, and I already had experience with believing myself, because I believed in myself in the hockey world. Whether it was like believing myself in a healthy way, probably not. But like I believed in myself. But what you're saying is that like you just take one step, and just trusting that the universe, if you take the one step in the direction of alignment, the universe has got your back.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like you wouldn't step out of like a comfort zone to go into a space that you're not in alignment with, right? We always talk ourselves out of it. It's one step. It's another step. It's another step. You know what I mean? It's not like we're taking one step and all of a sudden our whole life has changed and like we've magically figured it out. But that one step will lead you to the next one and, you know, open up another opportunity and another opportunity. And like the vision keeps growing. You don't need to know, you need to know the why, not the how. It's like, if you understand your big vision, you know, make yourself a chart and just like draw the biggest vision, the biggest dream you ever have on it. At least if you understand what you're working towards, like helping people, you know, it's like with, you know, through Iron Roots, whatever it is, like the big thing, you don't need to know how you're getting there. You just need to know the why, and if you're in alignment with it, you will accomplish all those things, and it's a lengthy process. There's all these little wins, little wins along the way.
I like to do it as if you already have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Write it down as if it's already yours.
You already have it. You're already energizing it, but you need to know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why they say like be very detailed with your dreams. Like be very detailed with like your vision, because the more detailed it is, the more you can like energize it and own it already. And the more it's like you talk about like, you know, transcending time, space, like the more energized you are on these ideas, the quicker they kind of fall into your lap, right? But if you don't really know exactly, this is what the trap I think a lot of people get in. They know that there's more out there for them, but they can't identify what, you know, what they want, what excites you.
But they don't even care to try.
They don't. I know. And if you don't have a goal, it's like a goal or a dream or something to look forward to. It's like hopping in the car and just driving around.
Yeah.
It's like you have no you have no destination. You're gonna get lost. You're gonna wander, and that's what people do, right?
Yeah.
If you have no destination, you're gonna wander. Distracted by this, distracted by that. New tight pants. Oh, distracted by that. New this food. You know, it's like we have nothing to like work towards. So we're easily distracted.
Yeah, and I think that like, it's okay to like feel a little lost in your path, but if you know you want a bigger vision and where you want to go, like I can't say, like when I first started bodybuilding, I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I know it makes me feel good, and I feel like I'm moving in the right way. So like it felt right to keep moving towards that. Like I've tried so many sports growing up, and like I was never good at any of them anyway. And like I said, my twin brother was a hockey player, so I was in a hockey rink every weekend, all weekend from when I was young until I was in college. I mean, so like if I tried something and I didn't like, I just knew it didn't feel right for me. Whereas like when I tried bodybuilding, I didn't know why I felt like I belonged, but I knew I did. I knew I was in the right direction. And then it all came together, like everything that I worked towards and every win I had in bodybuilding and every rock in the road and uphill battle that tried to stop me, I knew I could defeat this because I want to get over it, and I'm so eager to keep going towards my dream of whether it's getting to the Olympia one day and building Iron Roots into everything I want it to be, not just a bodybuilding team, but a community, a safe place, and a movement. I know I can get there just by being able to accomplish like all those little moments. Like there's still times where I feel lost, but I know that through the loss, I now can navigate them because I see a clearer path and I know exactly where I want to go. But like in the beginning, it's so scary. Like you're like, I know I feel like I'm in the right way, but I have nothing to show for it right now. And I do feel a little stuck and a little bit lost, but just believing in yourself and having that faith and just like working towards exactly where you want to go, no matter what tries to hit you and bring you down, is just keep going.
Yeah.
No one got to the top without failing or dropping back down, like
adversity.
Or looking stupid at first.
Exactly. Failing like you hear.
Yeah.
Totally. Exactly. And that's like the courage that it takes to take that leap, right? That's why that's the whole thing. That's why people just like, they think of failure. Like again, it's like I'm fearful of becoming a failure or failing, or you know what I mean. All this stuff is all these reasons why not to try it and live out your dream.
Yeah,
just
like,
talk yourself out of it.
You can fail, but then like just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Or like you could always wonder, like you can not try and wonder, what if I would have chased my dreams? Or you can try, and what's the worst that's gonna happen? It leads you to another path, or it gets you exactly where you want it to go.
Totally.
But there is never any harm in fighting for yourself and fighting for your life and fighting for your dreams.
Yep. Yeah. You have to.
And all of that is through mental healing and doing that self-work and being able to identify the emotions within your brain and within yourself, and like how to sit with yourself and be able to navigate through hardship and adversity by knowing who you are on the inside and where you want to go.
Totally. So true.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah, this
Conversation,
has been really great.
This is good.
But you guys are onto something, because I think like historically the bodybuilding world was super unhealthy. You know what I mean? It's become unhealthy. Maybe when it first started, because I don't think there was any bit of the supplement. There's whatever the just all the junk in it. But I think you guys are doing a good job of like painting a more holistic picture around this.
Thank you.
We're
It's
trying.
important work.
Yeah, in the beginning, and we're trying, and very, very lucky to be in the work environment that I am in too.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have you here.
Yes, I know. Very lucky to have met you. We're honored to have you here today. So we do appreciate your time. I know you're super busy, but I think being a part of just this whole facility too, and being able to teach the people that come in here about cannabis and why they're using it, seeing the different people that come in here, and being able to make little changes in just people's life, even if it's one person that comes in and it just helps them with whether it's nausea or a little bit of pain going through cancer or whatever it is they're here for, or release some anxiety. Or someone that comes in here looking for something for performance. I just love being able to be on the forefront, educate people, and now be able to build a platform as well and speak on it, and have my athletes by my side and my best friends by my side, and be able to create a whole vision around really the intentions behind cannabis and, movement and learning yourself and mental healing. And that's why I always say, like, Iron Roots, I don't want it to just be bodybuilding, because it's a way of life for a lot of us, and it's helped a lot of us heal, but it's not something for everyone. I do lifestyle clients as well, but it's more so about like the mental aspect behind the bodybuilding and the way it teaches you to be so resilient and to be someone you never knew you could be, because of how testing and difficult it is. Yeah, like it is very hard to, for 20 weeks straight, you're doing the same thing every day.
Eating the same thing every day.
Yeah, I never thought I could do that.
Yeah.
I thought that I'd just be, downing bottles of tequila, and one night before I'd ever be eating chicken and rice and sweet potatoes every single day for 20 weeks straight.
I eat pasta every single day. I never thought I'd eat chicken and rice.
I just want to make it I just want to make it more than 24 hours without drinking. Yeah. And now it's been over 3 years, and now my whole medicine and my mental healing has been food and plants and cannabis. So to create a space around that is a dream, and hopefully destigmatize a lot about cannabis and using cool events like you one day. Exactly that.
Keep doing it.
I would definitely love to be there.
I mean, to me, like the name Iron Roots is so much more, as you're describing, than lifting, because I think of in yoga we always talk about rooting, right?
Yeah.
It's like grounding and rooting, right? It's the tree can stand firm when the roots are strong, right? It's like the tree will fall over when the roots are weak or small, right? So it's like everything is about rooting, strong foundation. So, Iron Roots is way beyond lifting, in my opinion. It's it's building a strong foundation, wherever that is, spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, all of it. It's all of it, right? So it can be the whole thing. So you got a nice little brand there.
Thank you. That was my whole intentions behind the name, was that your roots are your strength. So just like the roots of a tree is what makes a tree so strong. Our inner roots, everything we've been through in life, everything that has been an obstacle, everything that's been a win, everything that's built us to who we are, those are our strengths. Those are what creates character. It creates who we are. It creates where we want to go. So it's so much more than just picking up a weight. It's mental healing. It's finding your inner strength. It's being grounded. It's just a whole different journey than just, stepping on a stage.
For sure.
Being and becoming your best self.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep strengthening the roots, right?
Yeah,
it's the strong root system, right? The stronger the root system, the stronger the tree. Keep building it.
And then have a community of strong built trees, and just hopefully make a difference and at least somebody's life.
You've
You're
made
a
a difference
badass
in
forest.
my life.
Thanks,
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for being here
Yes,
today.
thanks for
This
having
was
me.
awesome.
This is so much
Appreciate it.
fun. I can't wait to see you again next week at
Yeah.
the event.
Be
We
here.
got 2 times in.
Yeah, I
weeks.
know. This is going to be a really good experience.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to
Yeah,
see
looking
that.
forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and to not. I did hot yoga one time, and it was horrible. It was
Yeah.
not a great experience.
I've
I
only
couldn't
done
breathe.
yoga
I smoked
myself.
before because I was
Okay.
like, this would be great. I couldn't breathe. It was way too hot. The instructor was moving way too fast. I was like, that is not what I thought yoga was. I just want to sit there and breathe and
Yeah.
I
be
feel like
with
they're
myself.
not beginner-friendly classes.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Hot
Like,
yoga is
they're
probably
really
not.
not beginner-friendly.
Yeah, no. So we will be at your yoga event and
Yeah.
find some peace
Is
in
it
that.
beginner-friendly?
Oh yeah, it's beginner friendly. Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know the names of the poses.
You don't need to.
Okay.
They're very
Alright.
basic. I mean, it would be the same practice that I would teach. Say this morning, at Empowered Yoga in Wilmington, and most of the people I teach are over 50. It's just like
Okay.
it's nothing
Yeah.
to do with like, athleticism or flexibility or
set.
skills. It's really just so basic and fundamental. And really, at the end of the day, like yoga practice is just doing whatever you can do. It's not a competition. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no perfection
Yeah,
in it. It's
true.
just do what you can do. You got some guys, that are older people that have had major injuries and surgeries. Like they literally can't even move like half their body, and they're showing up and just doing what they can do, right? I mean, so
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is
sure.
awesome.
it's just meeting the mat as you are. It's
Yeah.
really what it is at the end of the day. So
Well, I'm very excited to
Me
see you
too.
next week at that event. Thank you again for today.
Yes, thank you.
of course, thank you guys.
Enjoy your hockey later at Holydale.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
You
we're
spent a
headed
lot
right
of time
now.
at Holydale. Oh
Yeah,
my
I'm
God.
sure.